Imagine having the worst day at work ever. Our girl Hao Aguo is a total badass leading a special forces team to evacuate civilians in a war zone. She spots a terrified little girl trapped in the rubble and moves in like a hero, shouting, "I must save her." But just as she reaches out, she hears that heart-stopping asterisk clack asterisk. SH asterisk T, a landmine. She screams, and before she can even blink, a massive explosion swallows her whole. As the world turns to fire, she wonders, am I going to die here? Suddenly, the scene shifts to a majestic ancient gateway where a mysterious man in traditional robes is waiting, telling her she's finally here. Our poor heroine is devastated because she comes from 3 generations of soldiers and worked her tail off to become a general. I thought that with hard work I could become a general. She laments, feeling like her life ended way too soon. But then she opens her eyes in a damp cave, realizing she's no longer in her uniform. Ended up dead, just like that? She mutters, touching her head and realizing she's burning up with a fever. Talk about a chaotic transmigration. Our girl realizes she's stuck in a body that was abused, orphaned, and even accused of carrying a plague. What's going on? She gasps, trying to process the memories of this new life. It turns out she's now Yang Yuhyun, a 14-year-old girl who was treated like trash by her own family. This poor little nugget was bullied by her cousins and tossed into this cave to rot by her cruel aunt. But the auntie made a huge mistake because our girl Hao Aguo is an AI for an I kind of woman. Yang Yuhyun, oh Yang Yuhyun, don't you worry. She smirks, her soldier instincts taking over. She's not going to let this second chance go to waste, declaring, I'm gonna teach your bullies a lesson. Even though she's shivering with a fever, she decides to scout the terrain and look for some medicinal herbs. But her peaceful walk is cut short when a literal giant tiger leaps out of the shadows with a terrifying roar. Most girls would scream and run, but our heroine just narrows her eyes as the beast lunges. She cries out, dodging the massive claws by a hair's breadth. She's weak, but she's a fighter, and she quickly grabs a sturdy wooden branch to defend herself. She stares the predator down, refusing to be intimidated by a mere beast. Hit a snake on its 7th inch, strike a tiger by gouging its eye. She shouts, channeling her special forces training. With savage precision, she lands a direct hit right in the tiger's eye, sending blood spraying everywhere. The beast is absolutely stunned, and our girl doesn't let up for a second. B asterisk starred, is it angry? She taunts, leaping onto a rock with the grace of a pro athlete. The tiger crashes into the stone, completely outplayed by a teenage girl. She stands over the defeated beast, looking absolutely iconic with her hair ornament shining. Suddenly, a mysterious man appears at the cave entrance, looking totally shook. You killed my baby? He bellows while our girl just glares at him, thinking she's not about to be bullied by some guy or his pet. We get a glimpse of his fancy robes as the tension spikes. Who is this guy, and is he a friend or a very handsome foe? Our girl is not having it. She stares down this handsome stranger while his tiger takes a permanent nap in the background. Idiot, she shouts, reminding him that the tiger tried to eat her first and she was just defending herself. She's not about to let him pick a fight after she barely escaped becoming kitty kibble. She decides to teach this arrogant noble a lesson and swings a punch right at his pretty face. But instead of a brawl, the man catches her hand and immediately folds. I'm sorry, he blurted out, leaving our heroine completely baffled by his sudden change of heart. Suddenly, the guy is seeing stars and not from the punch. He thinks she's the most beautiful maiden he's ever seen and completely forgets about his grudge. He's realized his mistake, but he still wants compensation for his dead pet. You have to give yourself to me, he shouts with a massive blush. Talk about a 0 to 60 marriage proposal. Our girl has zero interest in this weirdo and tries to lose him in the crowd. She hears the locals gossiping about him being the impotent Prince Zibo, and she's absolutely shook. History definitely didn't mention that asterisk scandalous detail about the famous Lai Longji. Realizing she needs to find the Yang mansion and get away from this pest, she pulls a classic zoom and disappears into the streets. Even though she managed to slip away, the prince isn't giving up that easily, sporting a smirk that says he loves the chase. Meanwhile, back at the Yang mansion, the real drama is heating up. We meet the second aunt, who is currently winning an Oscar for her performance as a grieving relative. She's sobbing to a guest about how she had to send her niece away for medical treatment. Internally, the old hag is cackling because she knows the dead can't write letters. But her victory lap is cut short when our girl makes a grand, glowing entrance right in the doorway. Our heroine decides to play the game and tackles her aunt with a tearful hug. Oh, aunt, I've missed you so much, she cries, while the aunt looks like she's just seen a ghost rise from the grave. Leaning in close so only the villain can hear, our girl's voice drops to a deadly whisper, asking if she's wondering why she's still alive. She keeps up the act for the guest, making sure everyone thinks they're the perfect, loving family. She even offers to let a physician examine her just to prove she's made a full recovery from the aunt's assassination attempt. As soon as the audience is gone, the masks slip and the claws come out. The aunt is fuming, calling her a little b asterisk tch for returning alive, but our girl just smirks, ready for whatever tricks the old lady has left. The war for the Yang household has officially begun and our girl is playing for keeps. Our girl finds herself lurking in the stylish rear garden of the Yang mansion, but she isn't there for the scenery. She's busy eavesdropping on her two lovely sisters, Yang Yuzin and Yang Yubai, who are currently celebrating her supposed death. Let's hope she learns her lesson in the next life, they sneer, calling our heroine a total piece of work. Little do they know, Yuhyun is right behind them and she's got a long memory. She recalls how Yubai used to steal her monthly allowance, while Yuzin was the mastermind who tried to use a plague as an excuse to get rid of her for good. It's time for a little payback, and Yuhyun decides to start small. With a flick of her wrist, a projectile sends Yuzin screaming, "Oh, why'd you hit my head?" Yuzin immediately turns her fury on Yubai, refusing to believe anyone else could have done it since they dismissed all the servants. Yubai tries to claim a rock just suddenly landed on her head, but Yuzin isn't buying the innocent act. "You really are a fool, but that brain of yours is truly wicked." Yuzin snarls, telling her sister to scram before she does something she regrets. But Yuhyun is just getting started, and another well-aimed rock catches Yuzin right in the back of the head. That's the final straw. Yuzin loses it and lunges at Yubai, screaming, "How dare you!" She pins the girl down and starts insulting her mother, leaving Yubai sobbing on the ground. Watching from the bushes, Yuhyun is actually a bit disappointed the catfight ended so quickly, but she promises herself there will be more fun next time. Suddenly, the hunter becomes the hunted as a figure pounces on Yuhyun from behind. Thinking she's under attack, our girl doesn't hesitate and delivers a sharp kick to the gut. "Ugh, you're hurting me, Sister Yuhyun." The figure groans. Yuhyun is stunned to realize this woman is actually her brother Yang Guozhang. She's completely losing it. The legendary court minister is not only a crybaby but a cross-dresser to boot. Guozhang huffs, giving her a playful punch to the chest to prove he's still manly, while complaining that she's become just as mean as the rest of the family. Yuhyun has to pivot fast to keep her cover, claiming her coma made her forget everything. "When I saw you, I thought you were a fairy," she says, buttering him up. As they walk off to gossip about the mansion's secrets, Yuhyun suddenly feels a chill down her spine. Nearby, a certain handsome man is weeping tears of jealousy, wishing he was the one holding Yuhyun's hand. Their eyes lock, and it looks like our girl's peaceful walk is about to get a lot more complicated. Auntie Dearest is back at it again, screaming at poor Guozhang for just existing. She calls him a useless thing, but our girl Yuhyun has seen enough of this family's toxic bullying. "Don't be scared, leave everything to me," Yuhyun whispers, stepping in to protect her only real ally in the snake pit. The aunt just sneers, thinking Yuhyun is still the same pushover she sent away to the village. She orders her goons to teach her a lesson to keep her quiet before the big poetry conference, hoping to steal all the glory for her own daughter. These thugs think they've got an easy target, but they have no idea that our heroine has leveled up. Guozhang is terrified they're going to torture her, but Yuhyun isn't sweating it one bit. In a flash, she flips the script and has a sharp hairpin pressed right against the aunt's throat. "Go on, touch me, I dare you," she hisses, looking like a total beautiful madam. The aunt is shaking in her boots until someone shouts that the master of the house has finally returned. The aunt immediately tries to play the victim, calling Yuhyun a dishonorable, insolent little brat to ruin her reputation in front of the uncle. But our girl is 10 steps ahead, dropping to the floor and turning on the waterworks the second her uncle walks in. "I'm so scared, third uncle," she sobs, making the aunt look like the crazy aggressor. The uncle demands to know the truth, and Yuhyun plays the honest but terrified card perfectly. Even when the aunt tries to drag Guozhang into the lie, the uncle isn't buying a single word of it. "Shut up, this is all part of your plan to frame Yuhyun," he bellows, completely falling for our girl's innocent act. He treats Yuhyun like a fragile flower who couldn't hurt a fly, while she smirks internally because her revenge has only just begun. Later that night, as the aunt tries to sleep, a chilling whoosh echoes through the dark courtyard. She looks up to see Yuhyun standing over her like a vengeful spirit, her face covered in blood. "I'm going to kill you," she whispers, sending the aunt into a literal screaming fit. By morning, the uncle thinks his wife has officially lost her mind, claiming she was haunted by a ghost. Meanwhile, a mysterious hottie watching the whole drama from the roof is totally smitten by Yuhyun's performance. "My wife is certainly amazing," he muses, already looking forward to their next meeting at the poetry conference. Guozhang is absolutely losing his mind over the famous scholars at the poetry conference, but our girl is just trying to survive her brother's weird obsession with the Prince of Shu. He's actually convinced his beauty is a curse, while our heroine realizes she's landed in a totally backwards version of the Tang Dynasty, where the history books have been thrown out the window. She's horrified to learn that the legendary Lai Longji is a total laughingstock in this world, and she vows right then and there that she is never marrying him. As soon as they arrive, Guozhang wastes no time sending a token of affection to the prince, acting like a total fanboy. The prince is baffled as to why a man is sending him handkerchiefs, but the second he spots our girl, he assumes she's the one behind the gift. He lures her into a secluded bamboo grove under false pretenses, leaving our heroine to realize her brother literally ditched her to go play in the palace toilets. "It is I, Lai Mao, little beauty," the prince announces, stepping out of the shadows like he's some kind of gift to women. He thinks he's smooth, claiming they're there for a secret tryst, But our girl quickly realizes this prince is nothing but a bottom-tier creep. In your dreams, she snaps, delivering a satisfying thud to his head when he tries to flex his playboy skills. The prince is left sobbing like a total loser after getting rejected so hard by a little beauty. He doesn't take the L gracefully and calls in 10 guards to surround her. But before the thugs can move, a mysterious figure drops from the sky. It's Longji. He tells her to leave these jerks to me, boldly claiming she's going to be his wife one day. Our girl is less than impressed by his heroic entrance, especially when he starts acting like a shy teenage girl with a crush. The prince tries to regain control by mocking Longji's supposed performance issues in the bedroom, hoping to humiliate him in front of her. Instead of being shocked, our heroine starts wheezing with laughter, finding the rumor absolutely hilarious. Fed up with the annoying laughter, Longji decides to let his actions do the talking, sending the prince into a total state of panic. After the guards are dealt with, Longji's knees literally buckle at the sight of her beauty, while our girl just wants to know who he thinks he's calling wifey. Meanwhile, the prince runs straight back to the palace to cry to her majesty like the spoiled brat he is. "You must avenge me," he wails, begging the empress to punish Longji for going too far. The empress is getting an earful from this total snitch who claims our boy Longji and Yang Yuhyun are a secret item. Instead of being mad, the empress is absolutely over the moon, telling the poor guy to stop whining about getting beat up because a man should have a broad mind and ignore such trivial play fighting. She's so relieved that the Imperial family's last bachelor is finally off the market that she orders an immediate betrothal command. Before our girl even knows what hit her, an official reads the Imperial decree aloud, granting her the title of Princess of Zibo and announcing the wedding is just days away. Our poor heroine is having a total meltdown because this marriage means her dream of becoming a badass general is officially dead. Longji, I'm going to destroy you. She fumes, deciding that the only way out of this wedding is to make sure the groom doesn't make it to the altar. That night, she gears up in her best ninja outfit and sneaks into the prince's manor, hunting for his room with murder on her mind. She finally finds him, but instead of plotting world domination, he's screaming her name while aggressively sawing wood like a madman. She's worried he's some kind of perverted murderer, but then realizes with a sweat drop, wait, is he seriously just making furniture? The guy is struggling so hard with that saw that it's honestly a bit pathetic to watch. He starts crying because the wooden box he made is hideous, even though he desperately wanted to make something for their new home. Our girl can't take the cringe anymore and drops from the ceiling to smash his ugly furniture, screaming that she's never marrying him. "Fight me, one of us is going to die today," she demands, but the prince just pouts and says he could never hit the woman he loves. He claims he's suffering from an incurable case of lovesickness, and even our hardened Special Forces soldier finds herself hesitating because his face is just too pretty to punch. She decides to spare his life but still demands he tell the empress the wedding is off, which sends him into a total panic. When she asks why he's so obsessed, he confesses that he fell for her smooth moves and daring personality when they fought. He's practically begging her not to leave him, but she reminds him that she's a woman with ambitions, and being a wife would kill her career. That's when he drops the ultimate bribe, suggesting that there's a rank even higher than general waiting for her if she stays by his side. Suddenly, the vision of being the empress with her own personal lapdog starts looking a whole lot better than life in the trenches. The town is buzzing because the Prince of Zibo, Longji, is finally tying the knot. While the commoners celebrate the bonus coins, the gossip mill is working overtime, questioning how a man rumored to be dysfunctional even landed a wife. But hey, a royal wedding is the event of the century, and everyone is dying to see the legendary beauty Yuhyun in her one-of-a-kind robes. Little do they know, our girl isn't nervous at all. She's literally snoring her head off inside the carriage. Longji opens the curtain with a smile, announcing they've finally arrived at their new home. He offers to carry her out, but our feisty heroine isn't having it. "I have perfectly good hands and feet, why would I need you to carry me?" she snaps. The prince just gives her that charming look and points out she can sleep longer if he carries her, and honestly, she can't argue with that logic. As he carries her over the threshold, the crowd showers them with blessings for many sons. But then the prince decides to get bold and steals a kiss right under her veil. Our girl is absolutely livid, glaring daggers and mentally asking if he has a death wish, while he just laughs it off, claiming he's just too happy. After the ceremony, the drinks are flowing, but Yuhyun is still fuming about that stolen kiss. Her mood gets even worse when she overhears the wedding guests talking trash, calling her new husband impotent garbage. She watches as Longji just walks right past the haters without saying a word. "Why didn't you punch those rude jerks?" she demands, but he just shrugs it off, saying he's used to it. Yuhyun can't stand the disrespect. Even if he's not her ideal man, she's got to defend his honor. It turns out Longji isn't as broad-minded as he looks. He's actually got a literal hit list of everyone who talked smack today. Our girl gets a devious idea to shut everyone up for good. They need to show the world exactly how potent he is. Her plan? They're going to put on a legendary performance in the bedroom. Outside, the guests are still laughing. thinking there's no point in pranking the bridal chamber since nothing's happening anyway. Suddenly, the most dramatic moans start echoing through the walls, making the guests' jaws drop. Poor Longji is blushing a deep shade of crimson, looking like he wants the ground to swallow him whole while Yuhyun carries the entire show. She gets annoyed that he's being too quiet and gives him a quick pinch, forcing a loud "oh" out of him to keep the act alive. She worries the performance ended too quickly, but the prince catches her off guard by whispering that he actually has a long way to go. Just as things get awkward, she spots something strange on his chest. He immediately panics, covering himself up and refusing to let her see. Longji pulls back his robes, revealing a chest covered in jagged battle scars. Our girl is completely stunned, having never seen a body so battered and bruised before. "This is nothing," he insists, trying to act tough, but deep down he's a total drama king. He actually starts sobbing to himself, convinced Yuhyun is disgusted by his hideous body. Meanwhile, over at the Imperial Astronomer's Tower, things are getting spooky under the moonlight. A mysterious shadow rustles behind the screens. Suddenly, a rock flies through the air. Smack. "Who's there?" the astronomer shouts, but the intruder has vanished into thin air. He frantically checks his desk and turns pale. The records of the future emperor have been stolen. "What do I do?" he cries, realizing his head might be on the chopping block. The next morning, our couple wakes up to a literal fountain of tears from the manor staff. "Was there a fire?" Yuhyun asks, totally weirded out. "No, we're just so happy the prince finally has an heir." The head servant wails with joy. The maids are even cheering about the prince being highly capable, making the atmosphere incredibly awkward. While Yuhyun is fuming, Longji is blushing, already plotting his next move to officially seduce his wife. Longji heads to the palace to give the empress the good news, but he's so distracted he can't even focus. He's staring into space like a lovesick puppy, and even the empress notices he's totally checked out. "If you're not in the mood to keep us company, you may return to your manor," she says, humored by his behavior. He doesn't need to be told twice. He's out of there faster than you can say simp. But he's not going home just yet. He's got a very specific pressing location to visit. He bursts into the room where Zhang Yizhai is playing a game of blindfolded tag with his concubines. "Room inspection," Longji screams, scaring the absolute life out of the man. Once Zhang realizes it's just the prince, he's annoyed, but Longji is dead serious. He looks the local playboy in the eye and begs, "Teach me how to make the most beautiful woman in the world fall in love with me." While her husband is taking Riz lessons, Yuhyun is doing some solo investigating in the ancestral temple. She notices something very strange, 2 empty memorial tablets sitting among the ancestors. "Why are these here?" she wonders, sensing a dark secret. But she doesn't have long to think because she hears footsteps. Someone is coming. The chamberlain arrives to pay his respects at the memorial, unaware that our girl is eavesdropping from the shadows. He whispers to the spirit of the deceased master that the little prince has finally found happiness in marriage after years of agonizing suffering. We're hit with a heartbreaking flashback of a young Longji weeping at his mother's coffin, crying out, "Mother, don't you want me anymore?" But instead of comfort, the poor boy was met with total cruelty from other noble kids who mocked him for being an orphan. Our hero refused to bow down to the bullies, even when they cornered him with sneers. They beat him mercilessly, shouting, "Punch him," and claiming it was his fault for looking so condescending while having no parents to protect him. Bruised and broken, he made a desperate vow. "I'm going to be strong. If I become stronger, they'll come home, right?" He eventually sought out a scarred master who demanded he endure a whip to prove his resolve. Even as the lash struck his back, Longji didn't waver, shocking the onlookers with his sheer willpower. As he grew up, the other princes couldn't touch him physically, so they turned to nasty rumors instead. They mockingly claimed he was impotent just because he never took a woman to his bed. Hearing all this, our girl is absolutely heartbroken, realizing she is the only person he has ever truly opened his heart to. Suddenly, we're back to the present as Longji clumsily hops over a wall with a giant sack. He's humming to himself like a total dork, planning a surprise for Yuhyun. It turns out he's following some very questionable dating advice from a guy named Zhang Yizhai. The grand plan: arrange flowers in a heart and put a humongous pigeon egg in the middle because apparently no woman can resist the power of a giant egg. He's literally praying to the egg, promising to worship it if it helps him win her. Meanwhile, Yuhyun is looking for him late at night and stumbles right into his creative masterpiece. Our heroine stares down at a heart made of daisies with a pigeon egg in the center. Longji pops up with a proud grin, asking her if she likes his little romantic display. Our girl is internally screaming, but she decides to play along just this once because she actually feels bad for the guy. I like it very much." She lies through her teeth, sending Longji into a total fanboy frenzy. He promises to romance her every day from now on, but she quickly shuts that down, saying her poor heart can't take any more of these surprises. Later that night, Yuhyun stops by to check on his wounds, scolding him for not using the manor's top-notch anti-scarring medicine. Longji stares at the bottle she gave him, deeply touched because it's been so long since anyone actually worried about him. Meanwhile, in the shadows, a mysterious master orders his subordinate to leak information stolen from the Imperial astronomer. The subordinate is confused by the plan, but the master's intent is lethal. He wants Lai Longji dead. While the plot against him thickens, our girl is busy grinding out push-ups at the crack of dawn, already well past 1,000 reps. Lai Longji is caught peeping again, already imagining a future with fair and chubby kids thanks to her amazing physique. Fed up with his staring, Yoo-hyun challenges him to a sparring match, promising to knock his teeth out if he doesn't take her seriously. She unleashes a flurry of blows, but the guy just stands there taking the hits like a human punching bag while crying out in pain. She thinks she's found an opening to end it, but she's shocked when he suddenly stops her cold. He praises her martial arts style, but admits he'd never actually fight back against her. "You can hit me if you like, I promise. I'll never fight back," he says, which honestly just makes our girl even more annoyed. She demands he show his true strength and launches a powerful kick, finally forcing him to get serious. But with just 2 fingers, he effortlessly blocks her attack, leaving her completely stunned by his hidden power. "I actually lost, in one blow." Yoo-hyun thinks her eyes wide with shock as she realizes she's been bested. Lai Longji is immediately in panic mode, hovering over her like a worried puppy. "Yoo-hyun, are you alright? Have I hurt you? I'm so sorry." He cries out, completely losing his cool. Our girl realizes the truth. This man hasn't just been playing nice, he's been letting her win this entire time. He's so distraught he starts facepalming, cursing himself for being a useless idiot who could dare to scratch his precious wife. But the drama is interrupted when a servant arrives, noting how intimate the newlyweds look this morning. Yoo-hyun gives a classic HMPH, while the servant reminds her it's the 3rd day after the wedding, time to return to her maiden home. "Come home soon, alright? I'll miss you," Lai Longji says with a grin that makes our girl think he's way too cheesy for his own good. But the cheese turns to rage when she finds a sign in her carriage labeling her seat as property of Lai Longji's woman. "I'm gonna kill him someday," she fumes, arriving at the Yang mansion only to find the gates bolted shut. She suspects a trap, and she's right. Inside, some bitter ladies are laughing, claiming the Prince of Zeebo's mansion is going to fall to pieces very soon. While Yoo-hyun is left wondering what's going on, Lai Longji is riding through the city. The streets are buzzing with a dangerous rumor. The Imperial astronomer has predicted the next emperor will come from the Prince of Zeebo's mansion. He realizes the trap has been set, and his enemies are finally ready to pounce. Back at the mansion, Yoo-hyun isn't waiting for an invitation. She's literally scaling the walls to get inside. She rushes to find the Chamberlain, demanding to know where her husband is. He's been summoned to the palace, and Yoo-hyun knows this emperor rumor is a malicious trap meant to take him down. At the palace, Lai Mao is busy gloating, accusing Lai Longji of spreading the rumor himself. "I'm going to tell the Heavenly Empress, she'll behead your entire household," he screams, pointing a finger like a spoiled brat. He tells Lai Longji he'll be begging for his life soon, but our prince just tells him to stop overestimating his own pathetic abilities. The snake goes too far, bringing up Yoo-hyun and suggesting she'll end up with someone else once Lai Longji is gone. Lai Longji's eyes flash with pure murder. "Shut up, do not speak her name or I'll kill you," he roars, terrifying the man. Lai Mao cowers as the Empress is announced, thinking he's saved by the bell. But Lai Longji isn't done. He reveals he knows all about Lai Mao's illegal secret dealings with General Zhenin. He leans in, his voice a deadly whisper. "If you ever speak my woman's name or stand anywhere near her, I will make you pay dearly." The Heavenly Empress has officially arrived, and Lai Longji is stuck playing the part of the dutiful subject, offering his deepest regards while everyone bows in her presence. But back at the Prince of Zeebo's manor, our girl Yoo-hyun is bored out of her mind, chewing on a blade of grass and wondering why her man hasn't come home yet. Suddenly, a knock at the door breaks her train of thought. It's Lai Longji, but he won't even step inside. "Yoo-hyun, it's me. I won't be coming in, I'll be sleeping in the study tonight," he announces through the wood. Our heroine is absolutely baffled, shouting after him to ask what the heck is going on, but he's already making a break for it. Outside, Lai Longji catches his breath, clearly going through it. He's convinced he's in the middle of a massive crisis and refuses to let Yoo-hyun get dragged into the mess. "I can't let any harm come to her," he vows, looking all dark and brooding. The next morning, Yoo-hyun wakes up to a beautiful day, but she can't shake the feeling that something is off. She remembers how strangely he was acting the night before and decides to skip her morning training just to corner him in the study. She bangs on the door, shouting, "Lai Longji, are you there? It's time to wake up." But when the door finally opens, it's not the prince, it's the Chamberlain, who informs her that His Highness isn't even in the room. When she asks where he could possibly be, the Chamberlain gives her a cheeky, knowing smile. "Naturally, he's wherever you are, Your Highness," he says, dropping a major hint. Our girl is confused for a second until the Chamberlain points straight up. Her eyes go wide as she realizes this man actually slept on the roof last night. Sure enough, there's Lai Longji, passed out on the roof tiles and mumbling her name in his sleep. He's even clutching himself and dreaming about being closer to her. The Chamberlain explains that while he started in the study, he somehow ended up on the rooftop right above her room. Talk about a dedicated stalker. Husband. The man was so obsessed he even spent his night writing Yoo-hyun over and over again on his scrolls like a lovesick teenager. Yoo-hyun climbs up and just stares at him, wondering what goes on in that head of his. As he starts to stir, she leans in close with a smirk and asks, "Are you awake?" Longji nearly jumps out of his skin, screaming her name in pure shock. He's a total mess, panicking because he hasn't even had time to shave his morning stubble yet. He starts sobbing internally, terrified that she's going to hate him for looking like a rooftop hobo. He tries to play it cool, telling her it's dangerous for her to be up there, but our girl isn't buying it. "I'm here because you'll probably avoid me again today unless I stop you," she retorts. When he asks why she's being so persistent, she gives him the ultimate friend zone answer: because we're comrades in arms. Even though he's been thoroughly bro-zoned, Longji takes it as a total win, pumping his fist in victory because at least she's talking to him again. Longji is acting like a total simp, faking a dramatic fall just to get our girl's attention. "I knew you'd save me," he chirps, practically wagging his tail while Yuhyun just looks at him with pure disappointment. She tells him to start acting like an adult for once, but we all know that's a tall order for this guy. As night falls, Longji is sweating bullets, racking his brain for any excuse to sleep in the same room as Yuhyun. He considers faking an assassin attack so he can beg for her protection, but he realizes that would just make him look like a total wimp. Luckily for him, our heroine takes pity on his buffering brain and just tells him to hurry up if he wants a spot in the room. The cozy vibes don't last long though, as they're summoned to the Imperial Palace to meet the big boss herself. The Empress, Wu Zexin, drops a massive bombshell by putting Longji in charge of the upcoming hunt at Mount Kai. She claims she's thought long and hard and decided he's the best man for the job, but the tension in the room says otherwise. Longji looks like he's about to have a panic attack, but our girl reaches out and grabs his hand to steady his nerves. With her support, he bows and accepts the order, knowing he can't go against the Imperial will. Yuhyun realizes this is a total trap. If he refuses, he looks guilty, but if he accepts, he's the first one to blame if accidents happen during the hunt. Our girl isn't about to let her man walk into a lion's den alone, so she steps forward with a request to join the hunt herself. The Empress brings up rumors of Yuhyun being a martial artist, and our heroine plays it off perfectly, asking for the favor so she can have an eye-opening experience. She leans in and reassures her terrified husband, whispering, "Don't be afraid, I'll be with you." The Empress finds their mutual dependence hilarious and gives them the green light to go together. But just when they think they've navigated the political minefield, a court lady chimes in about official business that needs to be addressed. The couple stands there looking totally clueless until the Empress drops the ultimate awkward question. "When are you planning on having children?" she asks with a devious, grandmotherly grin. Yuhyun is caught off guard when the Empress starts pressuring them for a royal baby, and our girl is literally spitting out her tea. She's panicking that the plot has gone off the rails, but the prince steps in like a total champ. "It's not her fault, it's mine. I don't want children," he declares, shocking everyone in the room. He explains that he simply can't bear to see Yuhyun suffer through the pain of childbirth so soon and wants a few years of privacy with her first. Honestly, Yuhyun is low-key swooning at his initiative, wishing guys back in the 21st century were this straightforward. The Empress is stunned by his bluntness but decides to respect his wishes, finally dismissing them from the palace. But as they step out into the sun, the prince can't shake a bad feeling about the upcoming hunt at Mount Kai. He's right to be worried because in a dark, abandoned temple, the villains are already moving their chess pieces. The fish has taken the bait. A mysterious figure whispers, planning to strike during the hunt in just 2 days. A blue-haired man with a chilling smile warns his subordinate not to mess this up, or the consequences will be deadly. The assassin bows low, swearing he won't fail his lord as the plot against the prince thickens. Back at the manor, Yuhyun is minding her own business when a woman suddenly tackles her with a scream of "Dearest sister." This newcomer is begging to tag along to the hunt, but the prince is staring in pure confusion at this valiant, masculine woman. Yuhyun finally drops the bomb. "This is my brother," leaving the prince absolutely floored that this person is actually a man. Seeing another guy getting too close to his wife, the prince's jealousy flares up instantly. "Don't touch Yuhyun," he barks, telling the brother that if he wants to hug someone, he can hug him instead. The brother is surprisingly heavy, but he doesn't mind the change of target, happily chirping brother-in-law, while crushing the prince in a bear hug. Suddenly, the brother bursts into hysterical tears, claiming that women are made from water, even though the prince reminds him he's definitely not a woman. The prince is reaching his limit with the drama, but Yuhyun whispers for him to just agree to the request, so they can finally get some peace. Giving in to his wife's plea, the prince tells her, "You're the key decision-maker in our household affairs," making it clear he's only doing this because she asked. Our girl is left blushing like crazy, completely caught off guard by his sweet words and the power he's just handed her. As a former soldier, our girl has a keen sense of danger and knows that with an enemy hiding in the shadows, she can't afford to be a sitting duck. She decides to let her brother tag along for the hunt, but only under 2 strict conditions. He has to stay by her side the whole time, and he absolutely must dress like a man. He's all too happy to agree, and before long, the group is heading toward the rugged peaks of Mount Kai. The journey is grueling, but our heroine is built different. When the guards nervously ask if she needs to stop for a break, she gives them a cold "no need." The soldiers are honestly losing their minds. They expected a pampered consort who would whine in a carriage, But she's out here riding a horse like a seasoned pro, keeping pace with the best of them without a single complaint. Even though she's acting like a total boss, her heart is starting to soften. It's been days since I've seen Longji. I actually kind of miss him, she thinks to herself. Of course, the romantic mood is immediately ruined by her brother in the carriage, who is acting like a total brat. Arg, it's so hot, are we there yet? He wails. Our girl is about 2 seconds away from a breakdown, thinking, oh, I wish I could strangle him. Meanwhile, at the hunting grounds, the Prince of Zebo is looking as sharp and intimidating as ever as he oversees the final preparations. His guards are shaking in their boots because the prince is far too observant to be fooled by any mistakes. But the cold prince has a secret soft side. He dismisses his men, wanting to handle the final details himself because he knows she's almost there. Standing in a stunning field of wildflowers, he looks like a total heartthrob. Beautiful, he whispers, picking a flower and wishing he could share this moment with his lady. If only I could bring you in here, that would be amazing, he muses with a rare smile. Right on cue, the sound of galloping hooves echoes through the trees. Our girl finally arrives, looking radiant even after the long trip. She doesn't waste any time, immediately asking the guards, how is the Prince of Zebo? After being led to his private tent, she makes sure her annoying brother is settled in a tent next door so she can finally have some peace. She steps into the quiet tent, but something on the desk catches her eye. There's a single rose and a letter waiting for her. Is this from Longji? She asks, her curiosity piqued as she picks up the paper. But as her eyes scan the message, her expression shifts from excitement to pure shock. Our girl looks down at a mysterious note. The words "missing you, waiting for you" etched into the paper as she prepares for the day's high-stakes events. Meanwhile, the grand atmosphere of the Tang Dynasty is in full swing as the Empress stands before her subjects. Do not hold back during today's hunt. Show us your skills, she commands, her voice echoing across the courtyard. She promises a handsome reward for whoever manages to stand out this season, prompting the crowd to erupt into cheers of "Long live the Heavenly Empress." But while the Empress is looking for talent, some low-tier nobles are busy wagging their tongues. These two jokers are gossiping about Longji, snickering that he only volunteered to manage the hunt to avoid the embarrassment of actually competing. They think they're being sneaky, whispering that his woman is probably sitting all alone in his manor right now. Little do they know, our heroine is standing right behind them, radiating pure try-me energy. The main instigator jumps nearly out of his skin when he realizes she's there, but he quickly doubles down on his arrogance. What's it to you? Was I wrong? He sneers, looking like he's begging for a reality check. He continues to run his mouth, claiming Longji is only cowering away because of a terrible defeat at the last hunt. Our girl just stares at him with the calmest, most terrifying gaze, internally wondering why these pests insist on annoying her. As the guys burst into laughter, thinking they've won the verbal sparring match, our girl finally speaks up. Perhaps we should have a competition? She suggests with a dangerous glint in her eye. She tells them straight to their faces that Longji doesn't even need to lift a finger to defeat them. I only need my little finger to deal with you, she taunts, her smirk saying everything they need to know. The guy in green is absolutely fuming now, his ego bruised that a woman thinks he's inferior. But before the race even starts, a sister figure steps in, her eyes filled with tears and rage. She tells you not to interfere because this is personal between her and this heartless jerk. It's my fault for foolishly falling in love with him, she cries, but now, I'm going to personally crush these feelings. The green-clad jerk is baffled by the sudden emotional outburst, but our girl doesn't have time for more drama. All right, enough chit-chat, get on your horse, she commands, looking every bit the commander she is. With a sharp hiya, she takes off, leaving the men in the dust. The antagonist watches her ride, forced to admit that she mounted her horse flawlessly. But his admiration is short-lived as a sinister smile creeps onto his face. He scoffs that a woman's only real skill is crying and making a scene, and he's determined not to let her escape so easily. As they race deep into the forest of Mount Kai, our girl pushes her horse to the limit. She's way ahead of the competition, but she realizes something is seriously wrong when she can't seem to shake the jerk off her tail. She looks down, her eyes widening in realization as her horse begins to struggle and gasp for air. He must have messed with my horse, she growls, realizing the coward resorted to sabotage to win. Our girl notices her horse is acting way more anxious than usual. Thankfully, she's a pro at taming beasts and tries to calm the poor thing down. Be good, and once this is over, I'll give you the most fragrant hay, she promises with a smile. She spots her target, a literal deer in the headlights. I guess it's you then, she whispers, lining up her shot. Our girl has a heart of gold, though, so she decides she's not going to kill it, just aim for the leg to slow it down. Go, she commands, letting the arrow fly. Got it? She cheers, thinking she's nailed the shot. But her victory is short-lived when the saddle suddenly snaps under her. Oh no, I've been too careless, she cries as she realizes she's been sabotaged. It wasn't just the horse, that creep messed with her saddle too, and she's losing her balance fast. While our heroine is literally fighting for her life, the villainous mastermind is just standing there laughing like a cartoon character. Young Yuhyun, not even the king of hell can save you if I want you dead, he sneers, looking absolutely deranged. The horse is completely out of control now and she can't stop it. She clenches the reins with everything she's got, but it's no use. Suddenly, she spots someone sprinting toward the chaos on foot. Why is someone charging toward me? Have they lost their minds? She wonders in a panic, then she sees his face. That figure, could it be Longji? Longji isn't just running, he's on a mission. With a sharp swish, he lashes out, taking the horse down to stop the stampede. The horse hits the ground with a massive thud. Our girl is sent flying, screaming as she braces for impact. But don't worry, the hero is here. He catches her midair and they crash into the grass together. Yu-hyun, are you all right? He asks, his voice full of concern. She's a bit shaken but manages to tell him she's fine. Still, seeing him risk himself like that hits her hard. But you nearly got hurt, she says softly, looking at her savior. As she looks over at the man responsible for this mess, she can't help but feel a chill. He looks really scary. He reminds me of that snake in the forest, she thinks, realizing the danger is far from over. Our girl watches Longji carefully, noting that while he is the chosen emperor in this timeline, he is definitely not someone to mess with. He shows a surprisingly soft side by apologizing to the horse he accidentally hurt, promising to care for it at his mansion. But that kindness vanishes the moment he sets his sights on the man in green. Sensing the danger, the coward tries to make a run for it, but Longji isn't letting him off that easy. With a flick of his wrist, he sends a whip flying, catching the man off guard and dragging him back. Longji, have you lost your mind? The man screams, trying to play the victim by claiming it was our heroine who almost fell off her horse. Longji isn't buying the act for a second, coldly telling him he knows exactly what he did. The man just smirks, daring Lai to prove it and threatening that the Heavenly Empress won't be happy about these false accusations. He gets even bolder, taunting Lai to kill him right there in the forest. It's a tense standoff, with everyone waiting to see who will blink first. Seeing that Lai is hesitating, the man starts spewing the most vile insults, calling him an impotent piece of trash. He even has the audacity to mock our girl, calling them an idiotic woman and a useless man. A match made in heaven. Big mistake, our girl has had enough of this trash talking. Before anyone can react, she launches herself through the air and delivers a massive bam right to his jaw. The impact sends him spiraling to the ground, crying like a total baby. You *TCH, you hit me, how dare you? He wails, looking more pathetic by the second. He screams for his guards to seize her, but Longji steps in like the ultimate shield. Go ahead and try, he dares them, his aura becoming absolutely terrifying. The coward keeps sobbing, pointing his finger and threatening to tell the Empress everything. Our heroine can't help but look at him with pure disgust as he carries on like a toddler. She even offers to take the full blame for the punch, but the man sneers that he'll only report her since Lai didn't actually hit him. It's a bad move, buddy. Longji delivers a soul-crushing slap across his face, coldly telling him, now I have, go on, file a report. The old man is absolutely losing it, tears of rage and fear streaming down his face as he screams, you. He's dropping massive truth bombs, claiming the prince's father was a fool who offended the entire nation just for the sake of one woman. Our guy is absolutely shook, his eyes narrowing as he demands, my father, what do you mean? Realizing he's spilled the beans, the man panics, covering his mouth and swearing he knows nothing. He isn't sticking around for a follow-up interview and immediately orders his group to bolt. As they ride off, our girl Yu-hyun steps up and asks, would you like to drag him back here? But the prince is too shaken to even move, barely managing a no need. He looks at her with an incredibly sad, weary expression and says, I'm sorry, Yu-hyun, please excuse me. I need to be alone for a while. He tells our poor heroine she can head back to the camp on her own, leaving her standing there completely stunned. Wait, she cries out, reaching for him, but he's already walking away like a ghost. He looks completely despondent and dazed, his mind miles away as he leaves her behind. Yu-hyun can only watch his retreating back, her heart heavy with a million questions she can't ask. Later, the prince finds himself at Mount Kai, standing alone in a beautiful field of flowers. But he isn't enjoying the view. He's haunted by the claim that his father ruined everything for a woman. Father, mother, what on earth happened? He whispers, his gaze falling on a discarded colorful kite. This triggers a memory of that fateful year when he was just a happy kid, laughing as he ran with his kite. But just like his current life, the joy is short-lived as he trips over a rock with a sharp ah. He goes crashing down into the dirt, a painful reminder that even his happiest memories are now tainted by the secrets of the past. Walking through the camp, Longji can't help but wear a smug little grin after their recent victory. But the peaceful mood is ruined when they pass a group of soldiers gossiping by the fire. Have you heard what happened to the Prince of Shu? One soldier asks, practically vibrating with excitement. They start bragging about how their prince supposedly put everyone in their place during the hunt. Our girl Yu-hyun isn't having any of it. The Prince of Shu? She mutters, her eyes narrowing as she realizes the guy is so pathetic he has to pay his subordinates to praise him. She is absolutely fuming, her face turning a bright shade of red. I'll leave him alone for now, she growls, but I'm definitely teaching him a lesson later. Longji tries to play the voice of reason, reminding her that they have much more important things to deal with right now. And by important things, Yu-hyun means her stomach. She whips out a leftover lotus leaf chicken and tosses it at his head, shouting, "Here, catch." Longji fumbles the bird, looking completely baffled by how fast her brain switches tracks. Yu just starts housing the chicken, muffledly explaining that they need energy to deal with their enemies. As he watches her eat, Longji can't help but remember that this petite woman literally killed a tiger the first time they met. He offers her the chicken thigh and asks if she's up for a real challenge, hunting in the mountains. Yuan's eyes light up with a devious glint. "Once we hunt down a few rare beasts, that loser Lai Mao will be completely humiliated," she says, flexes her arm, and adds that her muscles are practically begging for the challenge. Longji chuckles at her confidence, but Yuan just gives him a thumbs down. "You'd better not drag me down," she warns him. He decides to test her resolve by grabbing her wrist and pulling her close. "Don't worry, dearest wife, I won't disappoint you," he purrs. Our girl turns into a total tomato and shoves him away, screaming, "Get off me." He just hums a happy little tune as she stomps off, thinking to himself that she's still so sensitive and clearly needs a few more lessons to adapt to her new life. Soon the duo arrives at the base of Mount Kai, fully geared up. Yuan stares at her bow with a look of pure disgust, internally complaining that transmigrating into the past really tanked her weapon stats since bows aren't nearly as accurate as guns. Longji, unaware he's talking to a modern-day Special Forces soul, warns her that the mountain is dangerous and tells her to stay behind him. Yuan snaps back instantly, "Are you underestimating me?" Seeing the murder in her eyes, he immediately folds like a lawn chair, stammering, "I do believe in you, I do." She ignores his whimpering and drops to the ground to examine a set of tracks. After a quick sniff of the dirt, which totally weirds him out, she confidently declares that a white fox, roughly 3 to 5 years old, is nearby. Sure enough, they creep behind a tree and spot a gorgeous white fox lounging in the grass. But the second they move, the fox bolts. "It's getting away," she yells. She turns back to bark orders at Longji, telling him to stop standing around like a statue. Instead of being annoyed, he just stares at her with heart eyes, thinking about how she's the only woman who could ever keep him on his toes. The fox dives toward a dark cave, and Yuan doesn't hesitate for a second. She draws her bow, locks onto the target, and lets the arrow fly with a sharp go. Whine howl, a white fox lets out a final cry as an arrow finds its mark. Our girl Yuan doesn't miss, and her companion Longji is absolutely living for it, cheering her on like she just won the lottery. "Hang on, let's see if my archery skills have deteriorated," she says, inspecting her prize. Honestly, she's not bad at all, and she's already calculating how much that expensive white fur is going to fetch. But the victory lap is cut short when Longji's face turns pale. "Yuan, behind you," he screams. Out of nowhere, a massive bear decides it wants a piece of our heroine. It lunges with a thunderous boom, but Longji isn't about to let his lady become a snack. He draws his blade, shouting, "You horrid beast, don't you dare hurt her." The bear roars in fury as they clash in a blur of steel and fur. Moments later, the dust settles, and Yuan is on the ground with blood splattered across her face. Longji is instantly by her side, panicking. "Are you all right? Are you hurt?" he asks, his voice trembling. He starts blaming himself, saying he never should have brought her on this hunt. Our girl watches him, thinking about how surprisingly devoted he seems. As he gently wipes the blood from her cheek, Yuan realizes he's actually a pretty good comrade. But then he gets a little too close, and our heroine starts blushing like crazy. Flustered, she shoves him away, yelling, "I would never get hurt so easily. Let go of me, you idiot." She can't help it. Her heart is suddenly beating like a drum, and she doesn't know what to do with these feelings. Needing to cool down before she combusts, she wanders off toward a nearby stream. "I need to wash my face and calm down," she mutters to herself. But as she reaches for the water, she hears a low growl. It's a tiny white fox cub looking absolutely feral for something so small. Yuan realizes this must be the baby of the fox she just killed. It's too small to hunt on its own, and she knows it won't survive the night. "I'll just put it out of its misery," she decides, drawing her dagger to finish the job. But Longji catches her just in time. "Yuan, don't," he pleads. He wants her to let it go back to the mountains, but Yuan is being practical. "Releasing it would be equivalent to sending it to its death," she argues, "so we may as well put it out of its misery." But Longji looks like he's about to break. "This kid is just like me," he whispers, lost and all alone in the world. He tells her that outsiders only see the beautiful fur, the royal status, and the power, but they have no idea about the pain he feels inside. He literally begs her to let him be willful just this once. Yuan feels like the biggest jerk on the planet. "Arg, I think I made him feel even worse. I'm such an idiot," she thinks, panicking. She reaches out and grabs his hand firmly. "I'm still here, I'm still with you," she promises, trying to give him the comfort he clearly needs. Longji finally opens the floodgates. He reveals that because of a villain's scheme, his mother was labeled a cursed person and her reputation was destroyed. He's lived alone in emptiness for over 10 years, and to make matters worse, his father disappeared without a trace. As the tears stream down his face, Yuan is stunned by the weight of his trauma. Even the little fox cub seems to feel his sorrow, licking his hand to comfort him. Our girl realizes her transmigration is definitely changing the course of history. But the tragic motives of these historical figures haven't changed at all. Longji wipes his eyes, looking embarrassed. I must look like a fool to you, he sighs. But Yuhyun just smiles at him warmly. Only real men are capable of shedding blood and tears, she tells him. You don't look like a fool to me at all. I will make them pay, an eye for an eye. He growls, his face clouded with a dark, murderous shadow. Our girl isn't even flinching, in fact, she's actually laughing. Ha ha ha, I like that, she says, before leaning in with a tempting offer. She asks him what he would do if she could help him find the one responsible for his mother's demise. The man doesn't hesitate for a second, swearing that he'll tear the culprit limb from limb. Good, she chirps, but she has one condition. She wants to raise the adorable baby fox cub they found while they investigate. He agrees instantly, but then he does something so out of character it's almost cute. He demands a pinky swear. This promise shall not be broken, he declares solemnly, while our heroine can't help but roll her eyes at how childish he is, even if she's secretly going along with it. She turns her attention to the fluffy white cub, naming him Xiao Long and telling him to be a good boy. Seeing her gentle side, the man is absolutely smitten, thinking his wife is a total angel. Of course, that angel immediately snaps at him to stop staring and start packing up the spoils of their hunt. I risked my life to score that, she huffs, warning him that she'll punish him if he loses their prize. He just laughs it off, showing off the massive bear they took down and bragging about how Lai Mao won't have anything left to say. Check me out, wifey Tilda, am I amazing or what? He asks, only to get a satisfying thump to the head for his arrogance. As they ride off into the distance and call for the fox to keep up, the mood shifts instantly. Hidden in the shadows of the trees, a masked assassin watches them leave, his eyes narrowing in frustration. He's fuming that the black bear didn't finish the job, but he's already planning his next move. He won't be so lucky next time, he hisses into the wind. How dare you snub the Heavenly Empress rewards? The official screams, but the Empress herself tells everyone to hold on. She wants to hear an explanation, and Longji is ready with his silver tongue. He claims he and Yuhyun truly admire her gifts, but all he really wants is an Imperial token so he can be by her side at all times. The Empress is totally charmed, laughing as she hands over the golden pass. But in the shadows, a hidden watcher is fuming, promising to report this luck back to his mistress. The Empress then drops an invite to her 70th birthday celebration, and Longji promises to make it the party of the century. While our girl Yuhyun is internally screaming about the suffocating palace rules, the Empress gets strangely melancholic. She sighs about a venomous woman and how she wouldn't have had to send him away if only bonds had been considered. She warns Longji not to follow in his father's footsteps before dismissing them. As they walk away, Longji's mind is racing with one question. Could it be, is father still alive? Back in private, the mask of the charming prince slips. Longji stares at his token with a burning intensity, swearing to find his father and make the real mastermind pay. He vows to uncover the truth for both his parents, but the mission has to wait because the next morning, they're officially on the road to Chang'an. Inside the carriage, the drama is peaking because Yuhyun is having a total meltdown. You might as well kill me, she shouts, horrified that she's expected to do a public performance for the Empress. Longji tries the puppy dog eyes, pouting that she doesn't want to go with him, but our heroine is not impressed. He tries to play the sorry wifey card and offers her a flower to make amends. I'm not a little girl, she huffs, claiming only sisses like young Gyuzhang would fall for such a cheap trick. Mentioning that name gives Longji a total lightbulb moment. He tucks the flower behind her ear anyway, laughing that it fits perfectly. He tells her not to worry because he has a plan, and that plan involves asking for young Gyuzhang's help. We see the legendary Yang gracefully chasing butterflies, right until he trips and faceplints into the dirt. Our girl looks at this expert with pure judgment, but Longji insists the faceplint was just an accident. Despite the dirt on his face, Yang is thrilled to see his wonderful sister and promises to take care of everything. Gyuzhang is on a mission to turn our girl into the belle of the ball. He reminds her that noblewomen would kill for an invite to the Empress's banquet, so she better make the most of this good fortune. I'll transform you, he declares, dragging her toward the city gates. He takes one look at her current outfit and scoffs, teasing her for being dressed like a lowly maid. Our heroine isn't taking that disrespect lying down, so what if I am? That's none of your business, she snaps. But Gyuzhang just laughs it off, insisting that with his help, no one will be able to tell if she's a maid or a high-born lady. He promises that by the time he's done, she'll be the most stunning maiden at the entire birthday banquet. The shopping spree begins, and Gyuzhang is picky, selecting bright colors that will pop against her fair complexion. Our girl is way out of her element, complaining that the vibrant red feels weird since she's only ever worn military uniforms. But there's no rest for the weary because Gyuzhang decides they need to hit the cosmetics shop next. After a few touch-ups, he decides she still lacks a touch of opulence and demands they keep going. More shopping, oh god, our poor heroine groans, absolutely exhausted. They sweep through the jewelry shop, buying out the best pieces. Then it's off to Silk Lane and even a perfume shop. Gyuzhang is in his element, snatching up everything in sight while our girl just stands there looking like she'd rather be back on the battlefield. Finally, they settle down for the makeup application. Gyuzhang admits she has a great natural base, promising she'll enchant everyone in the room. But our girl is suddenly hit with a wave of anxiety, sighing as she looks in the mirror. I've never gone to the palace before, I have no knowledge of palace etiquette, she worries. She's terrified she might end up embarrassing Longji in front of the Heavenly Empress, then she catches herself blushing. Wait, why am I so concerned about his reputation? She wonders, her heart doing a little. Gyuzhang just smiles, telling her to watch carefully as he demonstrates. He performs a perfect, graceful bow, wishing the Empress everlasting peace and happiness. Our girl is completely stunned by how elegant he looks. He winks at her, promising to teach her every step so she knows exactly what to do. When the transformation is finally complete, the result is breathtaking. When she reveals her new look to Longji, the poor man literally chokes on his tea. She looks like a goddess in her new red robes, but the stress isn't over yet. I have to give a performance? She asks, realizing that looking good is only half the battle. She starts to panic, pointing out that everyone else will be showing off skills in poetry, painting, or the zither. What am I supposed to perform? Do you expect me to fight on stage? She asks incredulously. Longji rubs his chin, thinking hard, and then a brilliant idea hits him. Yuhyun, why don't you kill a tiger for your performance? He suggests with a straight face. The silence is deafening for a second before our girl absolutely loses it. Lai Longji, I'm gonna cut you, she screams, chasing him through the shop. She's seeing red, swinging at him while he flees for his life. Kill a tiger, I should kill you first. She yells while a poor shopkeeper cowers in fear, begging the great heroine for mercy. The shopkeeper begs her to stop for the sake of his daughter, who loves the legend of Madame Gongsun. That name stops our girl in her tracks. She remembers the stories of Madame Gongsun, whose sword dance was so sensational that it felt like heaven and earth were coming together. A light bulb goes off. A sword dance, that's it, she realizes, her confidence returning. She might not be a poet, but she is an absolute expert when it comes to wielding a blade. She heads to the garden and begins to practice, her movements sharp and full of flair. She flows from one strike to the next, her red robes fluttering like flower petals in the wind. She even switches into a lighter white outfit to perfect her speed and grace. She looks like a lethal spirit dancing under the trees. Suddenly, she hears clapping and a voice calling out, beautiful. She spins around to find Longji and Gyuzhang watching her, completely mesmerized. Fantastic work, wifey, Longji cheers, while Gyuzhang agrees that she'll definitely come out on top during the Empress's celebration. A few days later, the grand celebration for the Heavenly Empress birthday finally arrives. Looking at the massive crowd, our girl starts getting some serious stage fright, whispering that her palms are actually sweating. But Longji, being the absolute green flag husband he is, grabs her hand and tells her, don't worry, wifey, I'm here. As the festivities begin with a group of elegant dancers, Longji leads Yuhyun to their seats, noting that the banquet is about to officially start. The master of ceremonies calls for the guests to present their gifts, and first up is Minister Song Jing, who brings out a self-warming cup that makes wine boil all on its own. The gifts only get more extravagant from there, with the Prime Minister offering a luminous sea pearl that glows like a candle, and the Prince of Shu presenting some ultra-rare 1,000-year-old snow mushrooms. But Yuhyun isn't impressed, she's just annoyed that she has to see that bastard Lai Mao again. Longji notices her mood and leans in, offering to introduce her to anyone she doesn't recognize. More officials step forward, including Minister Dai Renji with a celestial pillow and another minister with a warming rhinoceros horn. Then things get tense as the Prince of Ying's manor is announced. Lady Wai and Princess Annal step forward to present a grand blessing cup. The Empress finds it unique enough to accept, but Yuhyun's internal alarm bells are screaming. She realizes these names are straight out of the history books. Lady Wai was the one who tried to seize power during the Shenlong coup. Realizing the timeline might be a bit messy, but the danger is real, our girl decides she needs to warn her man. She asks Longji if he's ever had beef with Lady Wai or Princess Annal before. Longji explains that their families have been at odds since he was a kid. Back then, he was a child prodigy who caught the Empress's eye. She had even gifted him a magnificent dragon head kite. But of course, the spoiled Princess Annal saw it and demanded it for herself. Her mother, Lady Wai, even told her to just take it because Longji wouldn't dare refuse. But young Longji had a spine of steel even then, telling her that since it was a gift from the Empress, he couldn't just give it away. Lady Wai tried to lecture Longji's mother about virtue, but his mom fired right back, saying that those without virtue don't deserve to be rewarded. That snub effectively ended any relationship between the two families, and shortly after, Longji's parents mysteriously disappeared. Yuhyun realizes these two are definitely bad news and likely behind the tragedy of his parents. But before she can investigate further, the Emperor calls for a talent performance. Longji tells Yuhyun it's her time to shine, but Princess Annal suddenly cuts in, declaring that she'll be the one to usher in the festivities. As the princess moves to start, Yuhyun hears a suspicious sound and looks down at her dress in horror. I was a moment too late, she thinks, realizing she's been sabotaged right before her big moment. Lai Longji places a hand on her arm, telling her to calm down and let the other girl take the stage first. He argues that the opening act should set the scene for the grand finale, but our heroine thinks that's just a load of preposterous nonsense. The competition steps up, announcing she'll be performing the Sogdian whirl, a traditional Persian dance. She puts on a fake humble act, asking for forgiveness for her incompetence. Our girl isn't buying it for a second, thinking she can easily outdo that stupid dance. As the music starts, the rival begins to twirl amidst a flurry of petals. The crowd is instantly hooked, gasping at how beautiful she looks. Even the high-ranking ministers are losing their minds, shouting that the performance is absolutely splendid. They're all following the lead of the Empress's favorite minister, praising the amazing Sogdian whirl. One official is so impressed he's already planning to summon Persian dancers to his own manor. The rival bows, soaking up the praise while pretending her skills are undeserving. But now it's time for the main event as the Empress asks who is next. The announcer introduces our girl Yuhyun, the consort of the Prince of Chu. Longji looks at her with a confident smirk and says, "You're up next, Yuhyun." He's not just watching from the sidelines either. He offers to personally play the lute to accompany her dance. Even their little fox spirit, Xiao Long, wants to jump in and join the performance. Yuhyun steps forward with fire in her eyes, determined not to lose this competition. Some snobby onlookers think she doesn't stand a chance against the Yang family maidens, but they're about to get a rude awakening. As Longji strikes the first notes on his lute, Yuhyun draws a sword and begins a fierce, elegant blade dance. The Empress leans in, admitting that the display is actually not bad. Our heroine's movements are a blur of red silk and cold steel, leaving the crowd breathless. Even the people who were cheering for the rival are now shouting "splendid" at the top of their lungs. The rival dancer is absolutely fuming in the background, but the Empress is having the time of her life, laughing with delight. Yuhyun's grace is compared to the gods themselves, a beauty that belongs on the peak of celestial mountains. The Empress claps her hands, declaring that this is exactly how a woman of the Tang Dynasty should carry herself. Our girl just smirks, thinking to herself, "Like I said, losing isn't in my vocabulary." She addresses the court, noting that while foreign dances have their place, they can't compare to the lithe grace of the Great Tang. She can see the rivals fuming with rage and knows it's only a matter of time before they show their true colors. She finishes the dance in a spectacular display of skill alongside her husband. The rival's mother is practically vibrating with anger, calling Longji spineless for using his wife to pick a fight. But their bitterness doesn't matter because the hall erupts in thunderous applause. Everyone is on their feet, screaming that the performance was truly amazing. The Empress is absolutely living for the performance, looking down from her throne with a satisfied smirk. "You have superb swordsmanship, young Gyuzhang. You are truly a rare talent," she praises, clearly won over by the display he and our girl put on. The rewards start raining down immediately: 100 taels of gold, a position as an investigating censor, and 2,000 soldiers. But Gyuzhang is playing it cool, asking for a few days to prepare himself, even as our heroine gives him a pointed ahem to keep him in line. "Permission granted," the Empress declares, while our girl later pulls her brother aside to ask why he didn't let her take credit for the sword-fighting choreography. But she's got a bigger game in mind, telling him to just relax and prepare for his big promotion. Then Longji steps up to the plate, requesting his own official position so he can serve the country. The Empress doesn't hesitate, appointing him as the general of the palace guards. The court snakes immediately start whispering behind their fans, laughing that it's basically a glorified stable boy position. Well, it suits Longji, he's good at licking heels. One of them sneers, completely unaware that they are insulting the future of the empire. One petty noblewoman laughs behind her hand, thinking he's trapped in a lowly rank he'll never escape. But our girl sees right through the act, realizing that Longji has finally learned how to bide his time and play the long game. As night falls over the palace, Longji plays the part of the doting husband to perfection. "Let's go, wifey, watch your step. Here, let me help," he says, guiding her toward the carriage with a gentle hand. Once they are alone, the mood turns serious as he admits he needs a stable position to finally uncover the truth and avenge his parents. Our heroine smiles, promising that she and Gyuzhang will have his back every step of the way. Gyuzhang is all in, giving her a cheeky peace sign to show he's ready for whatever comes next. The next day, the Tang flags are flying high at the training grounds. Our girl is right in the thick of it, riding a massive horse and looking every bit the commander as the announcement rings out that General Yang has arrived. The soldiers are already gossiping, amazed that their new general, who they heard enjoys dressing in women's clothes, is actually a beast at horse riding and archery. Asterisk swish, asterisk an arrow hits the dead center of the target with a satisfying thwack. While her companion is dying from the manual labor, our girl looks more alive than ever. "I think this place is perfect for me," she beams, feeling right at home back in the military life. But while she's thriving, someone else is having a total meltdown. Asterisk crash, asterisk Princess Annal is busy smashing everything in sight. "That be asterisk TCH and that vile man have stolen the limelight from me. I'm so pissed," she screams, throwing a legendary tantrum. She doesn't care about the mess, shattering more porcelain while her poor maid trembles on the floor trying to clean up the wreckage. Her mother walks in, unimpressed by the display, reminding her that she's supposed to be getting married soon and needs to control her temper. Mother, you have to teach them a lesson. Annel cries, her face twisted with pure jealousy. The mother isn't rushing in blindly though, she knows they need to be smart. There's no rush, as the saying goes, know your enemy and yourself, she muses, deciding it's time to do some digging. She orders a full investigation into Yang Yuhyun, her eyes narrowing with malice. I want that insolent couple to suffer, she hisses, and you just know the drama is about to hit an all-time high. Annel, it's time for you to grow up, the elder woman warns, her eyes narrowing as she prepares to target our heroine. They think Yang Yuhyun is just some ordinary girl they can push around, but they have no idea who they're dealing with. Under the cover of night, the plan is set in motion, and soon the streets of Chang'an are buzzing with the most ridiculous gossip you've ever heard. Have you heard Yang Yuhyun is actually a fox spirit? The commoners whisper, convinced that Longji has been completely bewitched by her charms. They're even claiming he's lost his mind, spending his days as a lowly servant to animals just to please her. Even the palace guards are getting in on the drama, whispering that Longji has become a hedonist under her spells. Our girl Yuhyun just laughs it off, thinking, oh, these people. They'll believe any superstitious thing you tell them. Meanwhile, at the stables, the haters are having a field day watching a descendant of the Imperial family shovel manure. He's only fit for serving animals. They jeer, completely unaware that Longji is playing the long game while they rot in the dirt. The tables turn during an Imperial outing when the Empress herself notices how incredibly powerful the carriage horses are. When she learns Longji was the one who hand-selected them, she's instantly impressed and puts him in charge of the entire Imperial stable. Back at the stables, chaos erupts as greedy men fight over the best horses, but Longji remains the calm in the center of the storm. Suddenly, the chief commander of the Imperial Guard, Liu Meng, shows up looking for a steed worthy of his rank. Longji greets him with a professional smirk, saying, I'll be right back, before presenting a Fergana horse that's worth a literal fortune. You, sir, are the perfect match for it, Longji says, buttering up the commander like a total pro. The commander is so thrilled he tries to hand over a fat bag of cash as a bribe, but Longji has something much more valuable in mind. If you really want to thank me, I have a personal matter that requires your aid, Longji explains, pushing the money away. He hands over a portrait of his missing father, hoping the commander's military connections can finally help uncover his whereabouts. Later that night, our girl is dozing off when she feels a warm cloak being draped over her shoulders. She looks up to see her bewitched protector finally home from his long day of networking. She playfully tells him about the city's rumors, asking with a grin, do I look like a fox spirit to you? But Longji isn't laughing. His face contorts with a terrifying rage as he demands, Who told you that? He grabs her hand, his grip firm and his eyes burning with a protective fire that proves he's ready to destroy anyone who dares speak her name in malice. Yuhyun tries to talk sense into a frantic Longji, but he's losing his mind over the gossip. He's horrified to learn the rumors have spread from the barracks to the local tea shops, and he's ready to draw blood to stop them. I'm going to confront them and forbid them from spreading such nonsense, he yells, but our girl isn't letting him run off into a trap. She grabs his arm, demanding he explain why he's acting like a man possessed. Finally, the mask slips and he breaks down. Yuhyun, I was too scared, he confesses, tears welling up in his eyes as he admits he's terrified of a repeat of the past. He reveals that 10 years ago, these same kinds of vicious rumors tore his family to shreds. It all traces back to a dark day in the Prince of Lies manor when he was only 8 years old. Back then, he was just a sweet kid asking his mother for a New Year's red packet and wondering when his father would come home. His mother, a woman of duty, reminded him that the nation's fate always comes before family, even if it meant being lonely. But their peaceful afternoon is shattered when the Heavenly Empress's entourage rolls up to the gate with an ominous clatter. The mood turns icy as the eunuchs deliver a terrifying decree. His mother, Lady Du, is being accused of using witchcraft to curse the Empress. It's a total setup, but the Imperial messengers are ruthless, claiming they're simply cleaning up the scum of the family. Young Longji tries to fight back, screaming that his mother is innocent, but a nasty court lady shuts him down, calling him a despicable sin just like his mom. Lady Du, knowing she's walking into a trap, tells her son to stand down and stay strong. She tells him that as long as he survives, there is still hope for their family before she is led away like a criminal. As she steps into that carriage, she gives him one last look, a look he didn't know would be his last. I will wait for your return, he shouted, never imagining that she would never come home. Back in the present, Yuhyun asks what happened to his father. Longji's face darkens as he explains that his father tried to defend her, only to be stripped of his title and exiled to the middle of nowhere without even a goodbye. He looks at our heroine with raw desperation, vowing that he won't let history repeat itself and destroy her too. Yuhyun tries to play it cool, holding his hand and telling him she's resilient and a few words of gossip won't break her. But Longji isn't buying it, reminding her that his father thought the same thing right before their entire lives were destroyed. Our girl realizes the current rumors are getting out of hand, and they desperately need a counter-strategy. Her friend points out that the public is obsessed with myths and the divine, which gives our heroine a brilliant idea. She recalls how a previous rumor about a river dragon was debunked by the Directorate of Astronomy, turning a potential disaster into a sign of a bountiful harvest. "So, do either of you know anyone at the Directorate of Astronomy?" she asks, hoping for a shortcut. Unfortunately, it's a big fat nope from the group, so they decide to just wing it and try to make some high-ranking friends. So-young tries the direct approach with a bribe, but the official isn't having it. "Why would we concern ourselves with common street gossip?" The old man barks, completely shutting him down and leaving So-young feeling like a total failure. With his plan in tatters, So-young admits he's out of ideas, leaving the heavy lifting to Longji. Longji heads to the Sun Manor to visit timekeeper Sun Woo, hoping a little charisma goes a long way. He brings a top-tier saddle as a gift, and for a second it actually looks like he's succeeded. Sun Woo is thrilled with the bribe and promises to help clear Yoo-hyun's name, calling the fox spirit rumors complete nonsense. Longji rushes back to our girl, shouting, "Yoo-hyun, I did it." But the celebration is cut short when Sun Woo suddenly shows up at their door to return the gift in a panic. "I cannot accept this, please forgive me," he cries before bolting like his life depends on it. Something smells fishy, so our girl decides they need to tail him to see who's pulling the strings. They find the poor timekeeper looking absolutely terrified after being confronted by a mysterious figure in an alleyway. It's clear someone powerful threatened him to keep his mouth shut, and our girl realizes the directorate is no longer an option. Longji is losing his mind with worry, begging Yoo-hyun to stay hidden until the sacrificial ceremony to avoid any more danger. But our heroine isn't some damsel in distress who's going to sit in a corner. "My martial art skills are not inferior to yours," she reminds him, refusing to let him make a mountain out of a molehill. Longji gets all intense and romantic, pinning her with a look and admitting he's just terrified of losing her. Our girl is a total sucker for this kind of dramatic devotion, so she agrees to a compromise. She'll dress as a man to sneak around. She even suggests telling the public she's ill to avoid unwanted visitors while she plots her next move. After settling things with a pinky promise, our girl finally gets some much-needed breathing room to explore. She wanders the bustling streets of Chang'an, realizing she's been so caught up in the drama that she hasn't actually seen the sights. But her peaceful stroll is cut short when she spots a young thug about to lay hands on a defenseless old man. She steps in to school him on respect, but the guy is fuming, claiming the old man cursed him to die in a brothel next year. Talk is cheap, so when the thug tries to throw a punch, our girl catches his wrist and sends him flying with a ba-bam. His lackeys join in, calling her names and threatening to beat her up, but she just smirks and tells them to try her. These creeps actually start planning to sell her off, even warning each other not to ruin her pretty face, so she fetches a better price. The leader pulls a knife, sneering that she'll be begging for mercy in no time. Big mistake, our girl sidesteps him like he's standing still, mocking him for being as slow as a pig. He hits the dirt hard, screaming for his boys to make her suffer. They lunge at her together, but she delivers a double-fisted bam right to their jaws, calling them inferior insects. Nursing their bruised faces, the thugs realize the old man is trying to make a break for it and decide to chase him down instead. But suddenly, the thugs are the ones eating dirt, crying out in pain as they trip over themselves. The lead thug refuses to believe an old bat can take him, but the old man effortlessly dodges his attack and delivers a swift, punishing strike to his back. Realizing they've messed with a hidden master, the thugs grab their wounded and scurry away like rats. Our girl is impressed by his concealed prowess and offers to buy the old man a cup of tea. Over tea, she plays it humble, claiming she just couldn't bear to see such an injustice. But the old man gets cryptic, staring into his cup and telling her she's a droplet that's out of place in the teacup of the Great Tang. Before vanishing, he leaves her with a chilling prophecy. "The star of the phoenix shines brightly, we will meet again." Yoo-hyun watches the mysterious old man walk away, her mind racing with his cryptic words. The star of the phoenix, why was he speaking in riddles? She wonders, staring at the empty tea bowl. The streets of the Great Tang are bustling, but a heavy shadow looms as the day of the sacrificial ceremony finally arrives. Back at the Prince of Zebo's manor, Longji is absolutely losing it. He's been running around all day trying to find allies, but everyone is too scared to stand up for them. "We're done for," he groans, collapsing in despair. Our girl isn't about to let him wallow though, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder and telling him to cheer up because there's always a way. Suddenly, a messenger bursts in with an invitation from the palace. They can't keep faking illness forever, so Longji decides they have to face the music and attend the ceremony together. He's dead serious, warning Yoo-hyun that they must avoid arousing any suspicion. When they arrive at the ceremony grounds, the atmosphere is thick with tension and the glint of spear tips. The crowd is already whispering like a bunch of mean girls, pointing at our couple and calling Yoo-hyun a literal fox spirit. Longji keeps his cool, telling her to just ignore the haters as the official calls for silence. The auspicious hour has arrived and the high-stakes ritual officially begins. Yoo-hyun watches as the director of astrology performs the ritual, but the moment the coins clatter into the basin, the man's face goes pale. He stammers in shock, reading an omen of violent unrest and a lone phoenix ascending to nirvana. This is exactly what the crowd wanted to hear to fuel their gossip. and they immediately start blaming Yu Hyun's supposed fox spirit mischief for the kingdom's troubles. Our poor heroine is trembling, but Longji firmly grabs her hand, looking her in the eye and promising that he's right there with her. "Don't be afraid, I'm here," he whispers. Just as the mood turns sour, a familiar voice booms through the air, proclaiming that this is actually a magnificent omen of a dragon and phoenix. The crowd is scandalized that someone would dare interrupt the sacred hour, but the old man doesn't care about their rules. Yu Hyun realizes it's the same man she helped earlier, and he gives her a knowing look, telling her to leave this catastrophe to him. When the guards try to threaten him, the director of astrology nearly jumps out of his skin, identifying the man as Master Chunfeng. The master doesn't hold back, calling the director a fool and a failure of a disciple for not being able to read a simple omen. He points to the coins, explaining that the fire element and the positioning clearly point to a dragon and a phoenix born right here in the southern corner of Chang'an. The Empress looks down at the legendary soothsayer with a complicated expression. "It's been a while, Lai Chunfeng," she says, ordering her servants to prepare a seat for the ingenious man. But the old man isn't interested in royal favors, claiming he is now just a nameless man who has repaid his debt to a young maiden with a cup of tea. As he walks away, the Empress is left to wonder if the prophecy is true, and if it's finally time to return the throne to the Lai family descendants. Out in the courtyard, the officials are breathing a sigh of relief. With the national soothsayer giving his word, the nasty rumors about our girl being a fox spirit should finally die down. They whisper frantically, warning each other that the walls have ears, but the secret is already out. Lai Longji and Yang Yuhyun share a dragon phoenix destiny. Our heroine tries to chase after the old man to thank him, but he's already disappeared. "It's like he's vanished without a trace," she mutters, frustrated that she lost her chance to speak with him. She turns around to find Lai Longji standing there, looking like he's in a complete daze. "Hey, what's on your mind?" she asks, getting right in his personal space. The poor guy turns bright red and gets totally flustered, so our girl does what she does best. She grabs him by the ear and starts hauling him away. "Stop getting so flustered, let's go home," she commands while he yelps in pain, begging her to let go so he can tell her something important. Once they're safely tucked away in the carriage, Yu Hyun finally relaxes. "Thank goodness for that man's help," she says, relieved that they aren't social pariahs anymore. But Lai Longji isn't thinking about the rumors. He reaches into his robes and tells her he has a gift for her. He pulls out a stunning, circular green jade pendant. "I've been carrying this around with me at all times since I was a child," he says softly, pressing the precious heirloom into her hand. He explains that the pendant was part of a pair given to him by his father, and for a second, things get incredibly emotional. Our girl tries to keep her cool, telling him to stop bringing up the past, but he just flashes that signature grin. "We have the dragon and phoenix written in our destinies. We're a match made in heaven," he teases. She calls him shameless and tells him to go brush the horses, but he just laughs, calling her wifey as the carriage rolls on. Later, while Lai Longji is tending to the horses, a familiar face appears. It's Chief Commander Liu, and he isn't there for a social visit. He cuts straight to the chase, telling Lai that he has news regarding his father. The playful mood evaporates instantly as Lai Longji stares at him, his voice trembling as he asks the one question that's haunted him. Is he still alive? The crown prince is losing his mind, grabbing a messenger and demanding to know if his father is still alive. When he hears his brothers in Lingnan spotted the man among the exiled prisoners, a flicker of hope finally returns to his eyes. "Father, after so many years, I've finally received news about you," he whispers, vowing to find him no matter the cost. Meanwhile, the city is buzzing with juicy gossip because the palace is suddenly hunting for the best physicians in the land. Our boy overhears the whispers and wonders if the heavenly empress is finally reaching her breaking point. Inside the golden walls, things are looking grim as the empress is racked with a violent cough. Her maids are in a total panic, screaming for the imperial physician to hurry before it's too late. The doctor rushes in, looking like he's about to faint from the pressure. But as he checks her pulse, his face goes pale. Whatever he's discovered is definitely not good news. The empress doesn't want any sugarcoating, telling him to speak freely, but she's interrupted by news that the crown prince and Lady Y are outside begging for an audience. She's not falling for their concerned act for 1 second, snapping, "Do they think we're unaware of their true intentions?" The political tension is suffocating as the empress takes a stroll, realizing that her circle of trust has shrunk to almost zero. She reflects on her wild journey from a lowly concubine to the absolute ruler of the throne, wondering if this lonely life was all it was cracked up to be. She decides it's time to return the land to the Lai family, but there's a catch. She thinks the current crown prince is a total dud and needs to be replaced. Her eyes land on a new candidate, Lai Longji, as she plots her next move under the falling autumn leaves. Cut back to our pining prince, who is tossing and turning in a bed that feels way too big without his favorite girl. "I can't sleep," he sighs, realizing the house feels like a tomb without Yuhyun's energy. He decides to take a midnight stroll with his fluffy fox companion, Zio Long, to clear his head. He pets the little guy, admitting that Yuhyun is like nobody he's ever met. It's like she belongs to a completely different world. I wish you were here, he laments, staring up at the lonely moon. Little does he know, our girl is having the exact same problem miles away in a dusty military camp. Yuhyun is staring at the ceiling of her tent, looking absolutely miserable. Damn it, I couldn't sleep at all. She groans, realizing she's already a total mess after only a few days apart. She tries to shake it off, telling herself to focus because the troops are about to move out. Duty calls, and soon the army is on the march, the sound of boots and hooves echoing through the mountains. After a grueling journey, they finally hit the Lingnan borders. Her comrade looks like he's about to drop from exhaustion, but our girl is locked in and ready for whatever drama this mission throws at her. Back at the estate, the moon is high, but sleep is the last thing on our boy's mind. He's tossing and turning because the house feels way too empty and strange without Yuwang around. With a heavy sigh, he realizes he's not getting any rest tonight and decides he might as well take a midnight stroll since his bed feels like a desert. He finds his only company in little Long, the white fox, and scoops him up to ask if the little guy misses her too. He's definitely caught major feelings, admitting that Yu Huang is unlike any lady he's ever met. She's so brilliant and intriguing he sometimes thinks she isn't even moral. I wish she were here, he whispers to the night sky, wondering how she's handling the rough life on the road. Cut to the military camp, where the banners are fluttering and the guards are keeping a sharp lookout. Inside her tent, our girl is currently dealing with the exact same problem. She's wide awake, staring at the ceiling and realizing she's actually developed a case of insomnia. Damn, she curses, frustrated that her body won't just let her pass out. I already missed that guy, she sighs to herself, blushing as she admits she's pining for him even though she just left. She forces herself to sit up, deciding that she needs to get moving. She hopes that once the march starts, she'll be way too occupied to spend all her time thinking about her handsome husband back home. The sun rises and the army begins its grueling trek through the dense, sun-drenched forest. They finally hit the border of Lingnan, but the mood among the troops is anything but celebratory. One of her soldiers is already huffing and puffing, complaining about how absolutely dragged and exhausted he feels from the journey. As Yuwang shields her eyes from the scorching May sun, she can feel the heat radiating off the path. The men are practically melting in their heavy gear, complaining that they can literally squeeze the sweat out of their drenched clothes. Our girl doesn't have much sympathy though, asking them who told them to wear such flamboyant and heavy armor in this weather. The soldiers groan, noting that they haven't seen a single sign of the rebels yet, and the heat is starting to break their morale. Suddenly, a scream pierces the air and Yuwang's combat instincts kick into high gear. She rushes toward the commotion, her eyes scanning the brush for whatever just spooked her men. Out of nowhere, a massive purple snake lunges at them with a terrifying hiss. But our girl doesn't hesitate for a second. She draws her blade and slices that overgrown garden hose into pieces before it can sink its fangs into anyone. The danger isn't over yet though, as another soldier yells out that the trees are crawling with them. It's a full-blown ambush with snakes dripping from the branches and surrounding the terrified troops. Stop moving and start killing the snakes first, she commands, taking charge of the chaos. She makes short work of the remaining serpents, breathing a sigh of relief once the immediate threat is eliminated. With the army at their physical limit, the lieutenant suggests they head to a nearby forest campsite to finally get some rest. Yu Huang agrees that they can't push any further until tomorrow morning, but she's not letting her guard down. She warns them that they need to check every inch of the surroundings because if they are unlucky, the rebels are watching them from the shadows right now. The journey continues as the sun begins to dip below the ridge. While the high-ranking officials are busy with their own dramas, a group of cloaked figures is lurking in the shadows of the forest. Tonight, let the cowards from the north taste our power. Their leader growls, ready to launch a bloody surprise attack. Meanwhile, our girl Yuhyun is stuck on the night shift and is absolutely parched. She heads down to the stream for a quick drink, but she notices something's off. The water was crystal clear during the day, so why is it so murky now? She reaches into the water and pulls out a soggy surprise. A straw shoe, she whispers, examining the weird tying technique. She realizes these are all for right feet and are heavily worn down, meaning a large group of men just passed through here. The rebels are here to attack, she screams, ditching her water and sprinting back to camp. She doesn't waste a second, shouting at the top of her lungs to wake the sleeping soldiers. The camp erupts into chaos as the warning drums start thundering. The rebel leader grinds his teeth in frustration, realizing their stealth mission just went up in smoke. How hateful, we were so close. He snarls before ordering his men to retreat immediately. Yuhyun's fellow soldiers are confused, wondering where the enemy even is, but she tells them they'd already be dead if they could see them. Spotting the rebels fleeing on horseback, our girl decides to go full hero mode. I'll chase after them first, everyone catch up later, she yells. Her comrade tries to warn her that going solo is a death wish, but Yuhyun isn't listening. She's booking it through the brush, her eyes locked on the retreating shadows. She finally gets a clear view of the man leading the pack. Suddenly, her eyes widen in total shock. That jade pendant is, she gasps. She pulls out a matching piece, realizing the design is identical to the one the rebel leader is wearing. Why do they have Dan Lai's jade? She wonders, her heart pounding against her ribs. This isn't just a skirmish anymore. This is the only lead she has to locate Longji Lai's family. The rebels are moving fast, passing orders to withdraw quickly to avoid getting bogged down in a fight. Darn it, they are going to run. Yu-hyun pants, her legs starting to feel like lead. She leans against a tree, exhausted, noting that these guys are way too disciplined to be mere rebels. They have to be special troops. She's miles away from her base now and realizes she's in a seriously dangerous spot. She weighs her options, knowing that keeping up the chase alone is a massive risk. But then she looks at the jade again and remembers what's at stake. No, when did I become so timid? She scolds herself, drawing her blade with renewed determination. Infiltrating an army, please, that's her specialty. She quickly carves a signal into a tree trunk to guide her reinforcements. Guozhang Yang should understand this signal, she says, leaving her mark before slipping away to follow the enemy into the dark. The forest is crawling with soldiers as the hunt intensifies under the cover of night. Fast, you guys go there, the rest are coming with me. The commander barks, desperate to corner their prey. They stumble upon a campfire that's still warm to the touch, surrounded by a mess of fresh footprints. The realization hits them like a ton of bricks. They aren't just hunting, they're walking straight into a trap. It seems that this rebel army has an ambush. One soldier shouts, his face pale with dread. Our girl sister is leading the charge, but her mind is spinning. She orders her men to search every inch of the woods, screaming, search clearly, don't miss any trace. She's trying to stay composed, but her heart is racing. The rebels were tipped off, and if they aren't careful, her entire unit is toast. But there's a bigger problem. Where on earth is Yu-hyun? She grabs a soldier, demanding to know if anyone has seen her sister. The news is even worse than she feared. Apparently, after Yu-hyun beat the signal drum, she charged off alone toward the rebel lines. What? You can't even stop merely her? She screams, nearly shaking the poor soldier out of his boots. She immediately splits her forces, ordering everyone to find her sister before the rebels do. Morning light breaks over the trees, but the mood is anything but bright. Our girl's sister is absolutely exhausted, her breath coming in ragged gasps as she collapses against a tree. They've searched all night and found nothing. My good sister, where have you been? She cries out, the stress finally breaking her. When a soldier dares to approach, she snaps, knocking his helmet clean off his head. You bunch of useless things, she howls, weeping with frustration. She's a total wreck, realizing that if anything happens to Yu-hyun, she has no idea how she'll explain it to Longji. Panicked, she decides the only option is to write a letter and tell him the truth, praying he can do something to help. Meanwhile, back at the royal palace, life goes on with its usual facade of calm. The maids are busy sweeping the courtyards, but they can't help but notice a certain someone looking like he's lost his best friend. Prince Longji walks past, looking absolutely miserable. The staff is whispering behind his back, noting that ever since his lady left, His Highness hasn't been in the mood for anything. Even a trip to the market doesn't cheer him up. A vendor tries to sell him high-quality charms for his lady, and for a second he lingers. Don't know if Yu-hyun will like it, he muses, his heart clearly miles away. But the moment of peace is shattered when the military clears the street for a royal carriage, acting like they own the place. Longji sighs, deciding it's best to keep his head down and avoid the drama at court. But drama finds him anyway. As he arrives at the palace, he spots some familiar, annoying faces. His uncle and the infamous MS, are storming out of the queen's quarters, and they look absolutely livid. That old hag, how dare she refuse to see me? MS fumes, her eyes filled with venom. Her companion tries to shush her, reminding her they're still in public, but she's way past caring. Longji watches them go, wondering why the queen's room is heavily guarded and locked tight. He approaches the head eunuch, Mr. Zhang, who greets him with a polite but firm bow. Please go back, Her Majesty doesn't wish to see anyone, Zhang insists. But our prince knows how to play the game. He slides a heavy bag of gold into the man's hand, offering a charming smile. I'm just a little curious, he whispers. The bribe works like a charm. Zhang spills the tea, revealing that the crown prince and Marquis Yang have been trying to visit the queen constantly. Longji thanks him, realizing the vultures are already circling the throne while the queen is weak. And he's right, MS is practically vibrating with rage. This old hag doesn't want to meet us, surely she is on guard with us, she snarls. The crown prince is just as desperate, worried that the country is slipping through their fingers. MS's mind is already turning to murder. She suspects the queen is planning to give the title of crown prince to someone else. We can't wait anymore, she hisses, her face twisting into a mask of pure evil. I'll take her life while she's sick. Our boy is out here living his best life, feeling the wind in his hair as he gallops across the fields. He's pushing the pace, shouting Haya as he leads the pack through the grass. He stops to praise his steed, calling him a good, obedient boy. But the peace is broken when a soldier named Lin Kyudong arrives, saluting with a formal request for 10 war horses on behalf of Crown Prince Feng. Longji puts on his best customer service face, promising to arrange it immediately. As the soldier waits outside, one of the stable hands, Dong Shun, whispers that the crown prince has been taking horses way too often lately. Longji snaps at him to mind his own business and get back to work, but deep down, the gears are turning. He hands over the authorization letter to the soldier, who leaves with a polite, "Many thanks, Lord." Suddenly, Head General Liu shows up, also looking for some top-tier war horses. Longji is baffled. Didn't the crown prince just take a bunch for the army? He asks Liu why the prince hasn't shared the loot, but the general grumbles that he hasn't seen a single good horse lately. Liu tells him to stop daydreaming and just pick out some stallions already. That's when the light bulb goes off. If the crown prince is hoarding horses but the actual army isn't seeing them, there's only one explanation. He's building a secret private army. Realizing the stakes, Longji dumps the work on Dong Shun and bolts. He runs like his life depends on it, thinking about the sick empress and the prince's obvious play for a rebellion. He's practically flying down the palace halls, knowing he needs to move fast. He knows the palace is a powder keg right now, and he's caught without any military power of his own. He considers calling for backup, but he knows he can't retreat. A brave man doesn't just wait to die. Just then, he spots Zhang Yizhai, the Queen Dowager's favorite who just so happens to hold some serious military clout. Longji puts on his innocent little brother act, waving him down and acting like it's just a casual run-in. He plays it off like he's just been busy with the princesses, but then he starts dropping hints. He accidentally spills tea about how many horses the crown prince has been ordering for the battlefield. He adds that the prince and Y have been visiting the Queen Dowager every single day, letting the implication of a coup hang in the air. Zhang Yizhai is hooked, asking if there's anything else he's noticed, but Longji tells him to keep it on the down low. Longji tries to make a quick exit, leaving Zhang Yizhai to realize that our boy is way sharper than he looks. But Zhang isn't letting him go that easily and calls out for him to wait. Desperate and clearly rattled by the news of a potential rebellion, Zhang Yizhai begs Longji to prepare horses for him too, horses even better than the ones the crown prince is hoarding. The prince isn't taking any chances, telling his subordinate that he'll find someone reliable to handle the task. Standing in the middle of Zibo Manor, he gives a stern order to Zhang to send men to watch over the prince's place immediately. He's on high alert, demanding they report every single suspicious activity directly to him. But the peace is shattered when a guard comes sprinting in, screaming for His Highness. A letter has arrived all the way from Lingnan, and by the look on the guard's face, it's definitely not good news. The prince snatches it, shouting, "Hand it over." As his eyes scan the page, his heart drops. There's a depiction of our poor heroine Yuhyun tied up and gagged. He lets out a soul-crushing scream, unable to handle the sight of his woman in such a state. Clenching his fists in a fit of rage and despair, he vows to save her, whispering, "Wait for me, Yuhyun." He's ready to burn the world down, barking orders to prepare a horse for Lingnan because, without her, this entire manor means nothing to him. Just as he's about to bolt, a messenger interrupts with even more news. Eunuch Zhang is here on behalf of the Empress. The Empress has summoned him back to the palace immediately, and despite his desperation to save Yuhyun, he knows he can't ignore a direct royal command. Meanwhile, our girl isn't just sitting around waiting to be rescued. Dressed in full armor, she's been trekking through the forest for over an hour, finally spotting smoke rising in the distance. She moves like a shadow through the trees, closing in on the source of the fire. She finds herself staring down a massive rebel encampment hidden deep in the woods. "The rebels are way more than I've estimated," she mutters, realizing she's walked into a total hornet's nest. These guys aren't just thugs. They're well-trained soldiers, forcing her to find a higher vantage point to scout their defenses. From the safety of a tree, she observes that the camp is locked down tight from every angle. She realizes her only shot is an inside job, but she's going to need a disguise to pull it off. Luckily, a guard decides to take a very poorly timed bathroom break right under her tree, giving her the perfect opening. With a smirk, she drops down like a lethal Valkyrie, knocking him out cold before he even knows what hit him. "Sorry for that," she says with a snarky grin, "but I do need your clothes." Our girl is deep in enemy territory, blending into the shadows as she scopes out the camp. It's still quite easy to infiltrate, she thinks, but her luck almost runs out when a guard suddenly shouts at her to help keep watch. She plays it cool, giving a quick okay, to avoid suspicion before slipping away. But a sickening smack echoing from a nearby tent stops her cold. Peeking inside, her eyes widen as she witnesses a brutal interrogation in progress. "Speak, where did you keep those items?" A man screams, lashing out with a whip. He dangles a jade ring in front of his victim, fuming that the poor man is even still alive. The prisoner is in rough shape, barely whispering that there's nothing left to give. Our girl's heart sinks when she realizes this bloodied man is actually Longji Lai's father. She doesn't waste a second, swooping in to grab him the moment the coast is clear. "Don't worry, we are on the same side. I'm here to save you," she whispers, hauling him to his feet. She needs to know if he can still move because they've got a long way to go. But our heroine isn't just leaving. She's leaving a parting gift by targeting their food supplies. Within moments, the night sky is lit up by a massive explosion as the forage goes up in flames. The camp descends into absolute chaos as guards scramble to put out the fire. High up in the trees, our girl watches the beautiful destruction she's caused. The enemy commander is losing his mind, screaming for his men to find the culprit. She's not worried though, knowing the dense forest is the perfect playground for a little guerrilla warfare. "My hand is itching after some time here," she smirks, feeling the adrenaline finally kick in. She moves through the canopy like a ghost, her movements silent and deadly. Before the guards even know what hit them, she's diving from the branches. Her blade flashes in the moonlight, cutting through the air with lethal precision. Blood sprays across the trees as she takes down her targets with ease. Landing gracefully, she looks back at the carnage with a satisfied smile. Still fine, looks like nothing has changed. She chirps, ready to finish the job. A frantic subordinate rushes to his boss, reporting that their men are trapped and the enemy is way too strong. The boss doesn't care about his own men's lives, though calling them useless before giving a ruthless order to burn the entire mountain down. His plan is simple: smoke out the little thief and see how long they can survive the flames. Torches are lit and the forest quickly becomes a death trap. Our girl watches the orange glow in horror, realizing she can escape, but Longji's father is still trapped in the inferno. Meanwhile, nearby soldiers hear a rustle in the brush. One of them spots a familiar mark carved into a tree, Yang, and realizes Yu Hyun was here. He doesn't waste a second, shouting for every soldier to gear up and move out immediately. Guozhang Yang is practically vibrating with anxiety, praying that nothing has happened to our heroine. Inside the burning woods, Yu Hyun is struggling to breathe through the thick smoke, desperately hoping Lai Dan can hold on just a bit longer. She's coughing her lungs out as the heat intensifies, making every breath a struggle. But help is coming fast as Guozhang and his cavalry thunder through the forest. Faster, he screams, pushing his horse to the absolute limit. He's coming for her and he's not going to let a little thing like a forest fire stop him. Yu Hyun hears the sound of hooves and realizes Guozhang has actually found her. But she doesn't have time to celebrate because the enemy boss is right on her heels. "You're finally here," he sneers, blocking her path. Yu Hyun knows she has to end this quickly to save her brother. Guozhang hears her voice in the distance and confirms she's still alive. The villain lunges at her, mocking her for shouting and telling her to prepare for death. The guy is surprisingly strong, and Yu Hyun realizes she's not fighting some low-level thug. They trade blows in a blur of steel as sparks fly. During the scuffle, her disguise is torn away and the boss's jaw hits the floor. "A woman," he gasps, completely caught off guard. Our girl doesn't hesitate. She knows that getting distracted in a duel is a death sentence. She strikes like a viper, and the villain screams in agony as blood sprays from his arm. "Damn it, it hurts," he bellows, clutching his wound. He tries to play it cool, swearing he'll kill her, but then he spots the massive army charging toward them. Realizing the odds have shifted, he orders his men to move out, hoping to make a quick getaway. He scrambles onto a horse, but Yu Hyun isn't about to let him walk away after all this trouble. She leaps through the air, sword drawn, demanding to know exactly where he thinks he's going. This fight is far from over. "Meet your death," she shouts as her blade finds its mark, sending a spray of red across the battlefield as the rider screams in agony. But as the chaos unfolds, our girl's mind is elsewhere, screaming out for Longji as the scene shifts abruptly to the quiet grandeur of the Imperial Palace. Inside, Longji is the picture of a dutiful son, rushing to the Empress's side as she teases him, calling him a silly boy while he helps her up from her seat. They settle in for a chat, with the Empress complaining about how boring it is to be stuck in bed for days with nothing to do. She's got her eye on him, though, praising him as governor material even if he tries to stay out of the spotlight and never shows off. He tries to play it cool, telling her she's not old and that the country will thrive under her rule, but she's not letting him off the hook that easily. She drops a truth bomb, asking if he's salty about being stuck as a minor general when the people clearly love him way more than the crown prince. Longji keeps his poker face on, claiming he's just doing his duty and has no desire to overstep, but she sees right through it, calling his modesty a clever strategy to wait for the perfect moment to reveal his talent. "I see," he responds simply, the tension in the room thick enough to cut with a knife. But the political games are cut short when a soldier bursts in, screaming that something is terribly wrong. The bombshell drops. The crown prince has finally lost it and is leading an army right toward the palace doors. Meanwhile, in a much quieter setting, our girl is trapped in a dream of her and Longji looking way too cozy together. She bolts upright, gasping his name as she wakes up in a cold sweat. Her savior is right there with a cup of tea, letting her know she's been out for a whole day and asking how she feels. But then he hits her with the ultimate tease, mentioning how she was calling out Longji's name the entire time she was unconscious. She nearly chokes on her drink, screaming, "No, no, impossible, we are not close at all." Trying to change the subject, she asks about his wounds, and he graciously thanks her for saving him. He pulls out a jade pendant, explaining that thanks to this piece of jewelry, he was able to track her down. Looking at him, our heroine can't help but feel a pang of sympathy, thinking about what a pitiful situation this man has been through. He starts reminiscing, looking at the jade and remembering when he first gave it to Longji back when the boy hadn't even reached his waist yet. He reveals the truth. Longji isn't the coward everyone thinks he is. He's a responsible man who's been pretending to be weak just to survive. He's just glad they're friends now, though our girl is back to her frantic, blushing denials. She laughs it off externally, but internally she's sweating bullets, thinking about how disappointed he'd be if he knew she was actually his daughter-in-law as she grips the jade, determined to return it to Longji. Our girl Yu Hyun is deep in thought, worrying about the progress on Longji's side and wondering if the fire for revenge is still burning bright. But there's no time for brooding because her loud-mouthed comrade comes charging in, shouting about how glad he is that she's finally awake and asking if she's hurt. Honestly, this guy is a total drama queen, looking like he's about to burst into tears of relief. Yu Hyun, you don't know how tough I had it when you weren't around. He wails, acting like managing a simple disease was the hardest battle of his life. She playfully shuts him down, telling him he'd probably just make things worse if she actually let him handle the heavy lifting. But then he mentions he's heading off to interview the captured rebels, and our girl's eyes light up with a dangerous glint. "Rebels, of course I want to go," she says, sensing a golden opportunity to dig up some much-needed intel. When they arrive at the dungeons, the prisoner is already covered in whip marks and acting like a martyr, swearing he'll never open his mouth. Yu Hyun isn't impressed by the lack of results and steps in, grabbing the whip from the guard. "I want to see just how tight your tongue really is," she says coldly, offering him a chance to name his leader before things get truly painful. She radiates a murderous aura so intense a literal tiger seems to manifest behind her, making the prisoner realize he's dealing with a total monster. He tries to stay defiant, sneering that the person backing the rebellion is from heaven and far above her pay grade. "So what if he's from heaven?" she demands, reminding him that she's there on the Empress's direct orders. But the guy is a total fanatic, scoffing that the Empress is a nobody compared to the true royal bloodline they follow. Fed up with the treasonous talk, Yu Hyun lets the whip fly, leaving a bloody streak across his face with a sharp crack. Instead of breaking, the guy just starts laughing like a complete psycho. He's totally unhinged, screaming at the top of his lungs that he'll only blade for the prince and that the dynasty must return to the Lai family.